Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Shichida Shining Stars podcast, a podcast where we address all the questions parents have about early childhood education.
Hi everyone, this is Angie, and today I have a very special guest with me, Atsuko. Welcome.
Thank you for welcoming me.
She is the daughter of our founder, Makoto Shichida, and I'm very excited to chat to her today. So let's jump right in.
Okay.
Okay. I would like to know, what was it like growing up with Makoto Shichida as your father?
Okay. To speak of that, first of all, you have to know what kind of person Makoto Shichida was. To me, he was like a living Buddha. It's not exaggeration. He was always smiling. I have never seen him being angry, mad, hysterical, raising his voice, or anything. It was unreal. He was not like a regular human being to me. He was very special, and he is somebody to look up to. He's somebody that you feel very home to, secure to, being loved. And I had a privileged childhood having my father around with me. And then because he was a researcher of an education, he had a child class, English class, all that in our house. So he was not the person to get up and get ready and go to other company to work for from 9 to 5 and come home. He was at home all the time. Whereas my mother was a preschool teacher. She's the one who gets up early, get ready, go to work, and then gone most of the day and come home and late in the evening. My father cooks himself. He was a super guy, but he didn't think anything of it. That was his normal course of life. And then watching him growing up, I was like, wow, he was so different from other neighborhood middle-aged guys or my friends' fathers. None of it. You can never compare him to anybody who is similar to him. He was a very, very special person. And one thing that I would like you to know is that I'm the only daughter of Makoto Shichida, but he had 4 children in total. And then the first son, Jun, who I've actually never met because he passed away of leukemia when he was only 4. And my father was excited to have his own child for the first time, right? Because he was researching and studying what can be possible if you raise your child in a certain way. And he wanted to try out everything with the firstborn child, June. And everything was going great because they were having fun. And then he was just a super child himself, too. And then all of a sudden, he got diagnosed with leukemia. That was a long time ago. Today's technology, I'm sure his life was easily saved. But back then, there's nothing they could have done, especially living in a very remote area of Japan. And then within 1 month of being diagnosed, he was gone already. There was nothing that they could have done. And you can imagine how devastating it was for both of my parents, especially my mother. I mean, obviously, to both of them, he was the first child. And then if June didn't pass away of leukemia, I wasn't even here in this world because they thought June and Cole were enough and they were raising them. And then they decided to have another child. And then, voila, I came. And then I probably came with a mission to cheer up the Shichida family. So my job was just laugh, have fun, cheerful. That was my role. I think I played a perfect role for that. So there's another boy was born that was only like a year different. his name is Toshi. So that, to me, that was the whole picture of what Shichida childhood, the growing up in a Shichida family was like.
You painted a picture of such a unique family dynamic, with your father always at home and playing an active role. How did his approach as an educator shape your family interactions?
Like I said, it was an interesting household. I knew it was different from everybody else's, but it was a nice, secure place, like I told you. And then I remember, this is funny, because looking back, when we talk about our childhood memory, and then I said, you know what, guys? Sorry, but I think I was the favorite child of his. And then Ko was like, no way. I was the one. And then after he was gone, Ko was like, excuse me. I'm the one who my father loved the most. I spent most of the time. He told me this, that. Then I says, excuse me. Have you ever had this experience with, stuff like that. So obviously, my father did a very good job, because we didn't feel like that was his favorite. I was neglected or anything like that, right? I thought it was interesting how my father managed his time, because he was extremely busy. Like I said, he had his business at home, right? And he also cooks, he does laundry, right? But then, so his job was, because he had a center, so to speak, in the biggest room of a house up front. And he taught at the maximum 350 students all by himself. But there's no off days, because Saturdays, Sundays, children are off from school. So they come from morning till night. And then from Monday through Friday, after school, it's like the earliest will be like 3:30 or 4 o'clock. And then it goes up till the latest class starts at 8, ends at 9. The reason why the evening hours is because he taught from as young as the preschooler to college kids or the high schoolers to prep for that's why he was teaching that many students every single day, except for national holidays, right? That's why I tell you that he was a superhuman, but he never lost his temper or anything. He found time to deal with each child.
It's amazing to hear how patient and dedicated your father was. What were some of the ways your father brought his philosophy into the lives of others beyond the family?
He was such a super role model. And then obviously I want to become like him. And then also, he was a very interesting figure, not like other. He will volunteer his time to have local kids have fun. And then nobody asked him to do that. But he will volunteer to do something like that for neighbor kids. And then so later on, after we went up to elementary school, he become because we grew up in a very small town. The total population of the city is less than 30,000. Very, very small city. And then because of what he does, everybody looked up to him. And then our house was the only educational center that the local kids will gather. And then they'll call him Sensei. Sensei. Sensei is a teacher, right? And then so even the police department will ask him to be in a role to, there's a program for juvenile kids to put into the special program, and then he will be the supervisor. And everybody, if there's any worry or questions, they'll come to Sensei because he has the answer, right? So back then, there's no internet or anything. So after he started producing his books and ideas, start lecturing, the mothers throughout Japan will call him with parenting questions. And he was very sincere about it. He will listen to what they have to say. He will answer all these questions. So that was my childhood was like. So that's why I knew this was a very, very unusual household.
It sounds like your father had a remarkable ability to connect with people. Do you remember any particular message or story that he shared that really resonated with you or others?
When we go to elementary school, there's a commencement and graduation and all that. But Japan, it's very ceremonial. You gotta sit down with a very nice clothes on, and then guest speakers will come on to the floor and then speak. Obviously, children don't remember anything what those old guys are saying, right? And then my father was one of the speakers, but when he spoke, everybody listened, even the children. I even remember this story. One story I remember clearly is this. I think it was a speech for graduating class. And he said, "You guys, you take a bath every night, right?" And we were nodding. Mm-hmm. And he said, "Guys, you use chopsticks to eat food, right?" Yeah. And then guess what? Use your chopsticks and then go to the bath with full of water in it. Start putting your chopsticks in the middle of it and then go start making a circle like this. It's a very, very small circle. But if you keep doing it, you know what happens? At the end, the whirlpool, the whole bath water will start moving around like this. His message was, whatever you want to do from here on, when you go on to a higher school, eventually you become an adult. And then, but you're not a person that should be dismissed. Your existence counts. Whatever the idea you have, whatever the things that you're good at, you can influence the world. You can do good to the society. So if you think of something and then but you cannot stop. You have to constantly keep an effort and keep going on, moving forward. And at the end, that'll make a difference in your life and everybody else's life. To me, that was his philosophy to his own life, because he started this Shichida method in such a small country area. Nobody knew who he was. But look what happened. By the time he passed away at the age of 79, I think he actually did not just a bathtub full of water. It was the size of not even a pool. It was the lake. It was the ocean. He single-handedly did that. Only his passion for education. He used his own chopstick to start stirring the water and made a huge movement throughout the world. I think that's something that not everybody can do. But he did that. He believed in himself. And he knew he had a vision. It'll come. And then I think it's very profound. That's who he was.
That was really touching. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Sure.
I'd like to talk to you a little bit about your parenting and educational philosophies. As a parent yourself, how much do you value the method for your own child?
Okay. So when you talk about method, I don't know what you're including all. To me, the way that my father influenced my way of parenting my child is that I wanted to raise her exactly how he raised me, because there's nothing bad about it. And then to me, the most thing that he did was he trusted his own children. He trusted me. He knew I wouldn't do anything wrong. I had the same attitude. And then because he has the 100% trust in me, I really couldn't do anything wrong. I was a very good child. Yeah, same thing. I trusted my own daughter. There's nothing really to scold at or anything because she doesn't misbehave. Like I never misbehaved. Yeah. And then it's just that trusting your child and let her be.
Have you incorporated elements of the Shichida method into your parenting, or did you follow your own path?
The model for Shichida method is love, praise, and accept. I don't have to have that phrase in mind. It's natural. What else could you do, right? That's all you do. That's very natural as a human being. Why won't you cherish your own child? Why would you punish with something that they didn't do or because it doesn't like, or it's not like the way you hoped for. And who to be the judge to criticize your own child like that, right? She's her own individual. She happened to be born to me, and then I was lucky enough to receive her. And then I had the privilege of raising her. And she just gave me all this joyful time. And then it was hard to conceive her in the beginning, because for the 12 years I couldn't conceive. I went through infertility clinic. But then the maximum amount that I can try out was 7 times. If it doesn't happen, doesn't happen. And then my husband back then, and him and I were saying that, okay, if this the last 7th time it didn't happen, that's our destiny. We'll be a childless couple. And voila, 7th time, Shichida child, lucky 7. I was able to get pregnant with my daughter.
How would you describe your approach to parenting? Do you feel any of your father's teachings have influenced the way that you're raising your daughter?
Yeah, obviously, we were very, very happy, right? 12 years we waited, we tried, and finally she came. And I think I was more than ready to be a mother. And then I think I did a good job. And then it was a joyful 22 years. And then my daughter and I have a very close relationship. And she will ask me, talk to me, anything. I think we're beyond mother and daughter, because I like to talk to her. She likes to talk to me. Or we both live in the U.S., obviously, and she's a graduate student now. And I'm in Northern California. She's Southern California. And then I travel throughout the world to help out with the translation with Shichida. Wherever I am, we're always connected with FaceTime or anything, right? We're very, very close mother and daughter here. And yeah, it's just that I didn't have to raise my voice or anything. She grew up. And I just made sure that, you don't want to have a self-centered child. So you had to know what the human being, what the most important quality of a human being should be, right? And yeah, so it's kind of like a ball bouncing here and there. Just I just said, oh, no, that's out of the boundary. This is the way, type of thing. And then you don't need to raise your voice to do that. And then there's always a learning opportunity, or things come up with the relationship with a friend or whatever. And those are the teaching opportunity at the time, right? Instead of saying, let's sit down and have a live talk or anything like that. Yeah. So I think, well, I was lucky enough though she was that way. The mannerism, or there's just a positive, because I never look back at the past, or I don't even look at the negative thing, because I don't like that. My nature is, I just want to be happy all the time. And then I remember my daughter saying, Mom, I love life. Mom, I love being a child. I don't want to grow up. And then I was like, is that right? Okay, is all I say. But every time she says something like that, in the back of my mind is, I must be doing a good job. Yeah, because I think it's actually rare for a spontaneous child to say something like that. But I was lucky enough to have a child who can speak her mind like that.
Thank you. It sounds like you have a beautiful relationship. Thank you for sharing that with us.
You're welcome.
If you had one message to give to parents in Australia about the Shichida method, what would it be?
Trust your child. Let the child be himself or herself. You're not the one molding their life. All you can do is to watch them grow. And then if they're going to go out the boundary, let them know that's dangerous or that's a wrong way. And then don't hurt other people. Don't be burden or bother to other people. And then that's all you can do. And then if you could teach the level learning, you're all set, because they'll learn. You're not drilling them or anything. You just give the environment. You give them confidence. It's okay to be themselves. If they find something that they like, go for it. Yeah, it could be a music talent. Like my daughter was a gymnast and she totally enjoyed, yeah, dancing, creative artistry, a lot of things. And all you can do is the biggest cheerleader to what the child decides to pursue.
Thank you for sharing that with us and joining us today.
Sure. Thank you for having me on. That was
All
a
right.
pleasure to talk to you.
Thanks. Goodbye, everyone. Thank you for listening.
Bye.